No, like I sputter, and because of my blindness, I really don't know where people are. So I just kind of like circle around, sputter, and I don't really know what direction I'm sputtering in, but I talk violently, and I'm like, I'm when I'm mad, I'm like, I just, you know,
You're threatening to hit somebody. I would think that would make them afraid of you.
yeah, traditionally, yeah, but my specific situation is vastly different than others. So it's like it could cause fear, but half of the time, like I really don't think anyone takes me seriously, leading me to my anger.
We are about to watch a unique parole hearing out of the state of Connecticut, one that is for a blind man. Now, this is not the first blind man's parole hearing that we have covered. It is, a matter of fact, the second. But what's interesting about this case is that this man is locked up for being a bully, not something you'd expect. You see, he is a dangerous blind man. Continues to wreak havoc amongst those who are around him. Believe me, if you're in prison in the state of Connecticut, you've earned it. He's got a long record. He was given many chances at probation or suspended sentences, but he just could not keep his act together. Now, I think this is an interesting hearing, and we'll have to it plays with the emotions as it goes through the process, I would say. But I think that the outcome, or at least how you feel about the man, anyways, I digress. Let's just jump into the parole hearing and I'll unpack it at the end.
My name is Francesco Gervasio. My inmate number is 443364.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Francesco Gervasio, inmate number 443364. He's serving a sentence of 30 months jail flat sentence for risk of injury to a child, breach of peace second, and violation of probation with the underlying offenses of assault, unlawful restraint, and reckless endangerment first. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of March 9th, 2026. There's no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the domestic violence program. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Since I've been incarcerated, I had plenty of time to reflect on myself and my past actions, leaving me with feelings of contrite. I'm truly sorry for what I did, and I take full responsibility for my mistakes. I'm willing to do anything to rectify the wrong that I've done and redeem my name. Since I've been in prison, it's been humbling and enlightening. In a domestic violence class that I completed, I learned to be less reactive and more responsive. I also learned to be more empathetic and take time with my emotions before making big decisions. This experience has impacted my entire family, including my two beautiful daughters. If given the chance to parole, I will comply with any rules and programs you guys set forth. I will reach out to blind services so I can get the help that I need. I also want to work on my own goals too, such as computer programming for the blind and legitimizing my business teaching Qigong. I also want to work on seeing my children again so I can continue being a father. I truly want to put my past behind me and work on building my future. And this is why I believe I deserve to parole. And I hope you guys could find it in your hearts to accept my plea.
Okay, Mr. Gervasio, thank you very much for your opening statement. So what's going to happen today is that we're all going to take turns asking questions. And then when we're done, we're going to deliberate and talk about your case, and then we'll give you an answer today, okay?
Okay.
My colleague, panel member Turner, is going to start with the questions this morning.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
So what we do here with individuals such as yourself who are eligible for early release to discretionary parole, we have to make that decision in light of the interests of public safety. So it has nothing to do with finding it in our hearts to put you out in the community. We have to find you suitable to complete your sentence on supervision. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so you have you have a standing criminal protective order against you until the year 2030. How do you intend to go about seeing your children?
I'll have to work through DCF and second parties or third parties.
You could go to court.
Yeah. My attorney, Mr. Richard Goodis, said he would also help me work on that as well to make sure that I do see my children and I can get some type of visitations.
Well, that's the most appropriate way to do it. The standing criminal protective order, since you brought it up, what do you understand it means?
It means that I cannot be around the victim, harass, assault, and I cannot interact with the victim.
Okay, so that includes through social media and through third parties. So if you have a neutral third party who can help you by accepting the children so that you can assume custody for a visit, you are not to relay messages to the victim using your children. I know one of them is 7 now, right?
Yes.
So you can't tell your daughter things to tell her mother. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, that would be in violation of the order. It's important that you be really clear about that.
Okay.
It's interesting to hear you mention being contrite and taking full responsibility. When did you come to that place of acceptance?
Honestly, it was like a couple months in, and I was first started off in Hartford Correctional, and I was just like just thinking, I didn't have the tablet at the time, and I was just like sitting there in solitude for like a very long time. So I was just like, praying and just like, how do I get myself in this situation? And I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how people may act with me or treat me. It really matters how I react. And
Yes.
I could have totally done this a different way.
Mm-hmm. Well, violence is an easy choice, especially when you're feeling insecure, but it usually doesn't work. So you said that she verbally offends me and you started to talk back in a violent way. What does talking back in a violent way look like? I hadn't heard that.
Like I would just sputter and like I would pace and like after
Get in her
feeling
face?
like, huh?
Get in her face?
No, like I'd stutter and because of my blindness, I really don't know where people are. So I just kind of like circle around, sputter, and I don't really know what direction I'm sputtering in, but I talk violently. I'm like, I'm when I'm mad, I'm like, I just, I get rude and
Do you threaten?
yeah, I'm like, yeah, I feel like I do say like, hey, I feel like I'm gonna hit you, and like I say all the how I feel. I say, you know, what I feel like doing.
And what kind of impact do you think that has?
Definitely not good. It's, you know, negative.
About causes fear?
It could cause fear if they take me serious. And it's like half of the time I feel like they just take me as a joke. And
You're threatening to hit somebody. I would think that would make them afraid of you.
yeah, traditionally, yeah, you know, but you know, my specific situation is vastly different than others. So it's like it could cause fear, but half of the time, like, I really don't think anyone takes me seriously, leading me to my anger.
Well, it's good to have that insight. You need to figure that out, because your anger is just going to continue to bring you back to prison, because your behavior is criminal and it's unacceptable.
Absolutely.
And I can assure you that I take you very seriously. I have, you know, you represent your thoughts in your words and your intent in your words. And the victim had documented injuries, but you seem to also feel that you are a victim in this situation. Can you explain that?
The reason why I do feel like I feel like a victim in this situation is because, you know, it ends up with me, I'm the wrong one because the way I reacted, the way that the way I turned to violence, and it's not the right answer.
You know what that sounds like to me, sir? Consequences. You're a victim of your own consequences of your choices. That doesn't make you a victim in the situation.
Absolutely. You know, I should have chose the right direction. Me being the way I'm being treated does not really, I should never really turn to violence. There's probably way better ways I could have handled the way I've been treated.
Okay, so now that you've completed the domestic violence program, why don't you tell me a couple of what those ways would be?
Well, one way is to, make sure that I'm not constantly around people that would abuse me. And then another thing is to take time and really think about what I'm going to do, like what my consequences are going to be. Like my next actions, how are they going to dictate the rest of my life?
Okay.
And be more careful with the way I'm thinking, because it all starts with thoughts.
So not being around people who abuse you, we certainly want that for everyone. No one deserves to be mistreated. How about talking out issues when you feel like your feelings are hurt, or you are having trust issues with your partner?
I practice that a lot. That is something I do practice. I'm very verbal, and I do speak my emotions, my thoughts, what I want in life. I'm very transparent.
I'm sure in the domestic violence class had a unit on children, the impact on children who are witness to this kind of violence. So what do you think you're teaching your daughters?
I know that they basically pick up how the way they should be treated by the way the parents treat each other, and how they should treat a man and how a man should treat them. And I really don't want my children to be exposed to stuff like that and the violence, because I don't want that to be imprinted onto them and thinking that this is okay behavior. And, you know, me having my consequences and being punished, it was the right thing for my kids to see in the end. And I do tell my 7-year-old, whenever I do get the chance to speak to her, that, you know, this is what happens.
Have you told her that you were wrong for the way that you treated her mother?
I told her that I was wrong and that I'm so sorry.
It's really important to appreciate the fact that you know, children, you're modeling for your children, and then what happens is they think that this is normal and they think it's acceptable, and then they expect to be treated the same way by their partners, the way that you've treated their mother.
Yeah,
And that's how the cycle just keeps continuing generation after generation.
Yeah, and I told my daughter that this is not normal and that this is not how you're supposed to treat people. And like I tell her I'm so sorry that I spent this time away from you.
But you needed to. Mm-hmm.
This is what happens. You get punished when you do bad things.
So you told the parole officer that, you know, in terms of being a planner and being in control, you said you have total control. Total, my actions dictate where I go and who I am. I make the decision.
Yep.
But yet when you were explaining the situation that brought you to prison, you appeared to blame the victim. You said she antagonized you and triggered you. And those are very contradictory concepts, because if you are really in control, then nobody can trigger you or antagonize you unless you let them. So help me understand the truth here.
So, you know, being antagonized, being triggered are things that happen when someone knows a lot about you. Like if you were to know about me and things that I've been through, I'm sure you could say things that would make me feel great or say things that would make me feel horrible. My actions are completely my decision, and I made the wrong decision. You know, so my actions may have not been the best for me. My actions I chose were wrong, and that dictated where I went. Now, to say I'm in complete control of my life, yes. Do I make the right decision all the time? No. Do I control myself? And, you know, like I'm not like I'm possessed, you know, but it was like I'm in control of my actions, and I made the wrong decision. And I could have done so much other things to be somewhere else.
Well, hopefully this is something that you've learned from and grown in your understanding of yourself, in your emotions. You know, most of them, the intensity, it fades very quickly. 10 to 30 seconds is the, you know, height of intensity, and then you can bring rational mind to your feelings. But what you're talking about with antagonize and triggering, you know, are pushing your buttons, right? You've heard that expression?
Yeah.
Okay. But you still allow it. And if somebody is that disrespectful of your feelings after you've shared, you know, personal information, then that's a sign that's not the right relationship for you. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I've learned this one thing too. It was in a podcast where it's like, if you like self-talk and tell yourself like, I am feeling this emotion in this circumstance, it kind of like brings your logical brain into things.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm like, maybe, you know, like that's something I really didn't do a lot. Like, and I do meditate, but I never really did the whole self-talk and like explain to myself, like, right now you're feeling this because of this. And I think that's actually a really good technique to kind of bring your logical mind into when you're having these emotional states.
I agree, especially because it gives you a chance to pause, and it helps you identify when you're just feeling insecure in a situation. And a lot of domestic violence is fueled by insecurity. you think your partner's cheating on you, you have trust issues from before that you've brought into the new relationship, and you're the only one who can fix that. You're the only one who can build your own self-esteem. And you give away your power if you expect other people to do that for you. You have, the records indicate, struck the victim in the head and face. And I hope you have some understanding of just how serious it is to hit somebody in the head. You could kill them. You know, you just never know. It's like strangulation. You put your hands around somebody's throat and cut off their air supply. You could kill them. You just never know how much pressure will cause that injury and result in death. And, you know, people who suffer from being strangled, sometimes the consequences, the real serious crisis happens a while later, like a bruise inside the throat. The swelling can cut off their airway. So it's to be taken very seriously. It's why it's a lethality risk factor. You know, that means it's greater likelihood that you would kill your partner if you're willing to put your hands around their throat or threaten to kill them. There are a lot of risk factors like that that you should be aware of. You'll need to do additional domestic violence programming in the community. The 2021 incident with the assault, the unlawful restraint, do you admit that you were violent in that situation?
2021?
Uh-huh.
I don't recall that situation. Can you be able, is it appropriate if I ask if you be more specific?
It was over a debit card that got lost.
I do not recall, honestly.
Well, you know,
2021.
in New Haven,
Mhm.
the police responded because your argument over her lost debit card led you to making the choice to hit her multiple times in the head, pull her shirt and her hair, and at one point choke her, which is how you got the reckless endangerment and the unlawful restraint.
Mhm.
You recall now?
Over a credit card in New Haven. I vaguely remember the credit card thing.
Okay, so how much alcohol and marijuana use is part of these crimes? You under the influence when you're out of control and being violent?
Since 2019, I drank a lot, and it was a slow, progressive. It was progressive, and then I noticed, I was like, as the years went on, I was like, I'm drinking more than I ever did.
Okay.
And
So
I
I did see where you admitted having a problem with alcohol. Have you ever done treatment?
No, it was just so brand. It was just brand new to me, and like I was like just noticing over the years. I'm like, I'm drinking every day now, and I'm like, I think this is a problem.
Yes. Yep. And daily marijuana use is also a problem.
Yeah.
And, you know, these are substances that stay in your bloodstream. And if you're out, you know, you don't have to be actively drinking to still be impaired if you get behind the wheel. So you should be aware. Well, obviously, that probably doesn't happen. I'm sorry.
That's that's all right.
So you do have addiction services on your OAP. You have a substance use score of 3 out of a possible 5. And I think it has been a contributing factor in your relationship, your choice to be violent in your relationship. So I'd really like to see you complete a program.
I've been, since I've been in prison and like just breathing fresh like air and not like really using anything, and I feel so clear-minded, and it's like I have lots of regret, and it's just like unbelievable And just
Well-
like thinking about the past is like unbelievable.
Well, I'm glad that you have the clarity and the perspective to see that, because you need to change. And you also need to address the fact that these substances became a daily part of your life, because it could be very easy to resume those kind of practices, and a very slippery slope. All of a sudden find that you're on a daily basis abusing substances, and nothing good comes of that. So thank you for talking with me, Mr. Gerviso, DCO. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Member Keys.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions about your plans upon release. You had told the officer during your interview that you were about to start, and I want to correct my notes. Were you about to start a coding program so that you'd be able to work with the Bureau of Education for the Blind? Is that correct?
Yeah, so I was like literally one day away from seeing a computer teacher, and I was going to join a Python coding program that they found for me that would be suitable because I'm blind. And it's just something I really am passionate about, and wanting to bring blind accessible video games to my community, because like we're so far behind and there's very little for us. So it's like, I'm very passionate about it. I love video games. And, you know, I also really enjoy coding, and I was like teaching myself. So I talked to my counselor, and he was like, you know, I see you're passionate about it. You taught yourself the basics, which is amazing. He's like, you know, you could do really good from proper education. So he found the school for me. It's like learn as you go. It was like very like laid back. It seemed great, and like I had all these plans, and
Okay.
they totally got stopped.
Well, it could be paused. It might be something that you could do when you get out. And I did see that you had included as things you were thinking of doing when you got out was domestic violence classes. You mentioned therapy, church, fatherhood program, and return to school. I think those are all wonderful things. Do you have a counselor in the community that you have a relationship with, or a place that you've gone in the past that you would be happy to return to?
As far as like therapy?
Yeah.
There was this Brandon Kelly from Cornell Scott Health in New Haven County.
Yeah. All right. I think I liked the list of things. I think therapy, I think for everybody, particularly anyone who's been in prison, that experience alone is something that would be helpful, and returning to the community and rebuilding a life. I think it's helpful to have a counselor to support and assist, but I know you have also endured significant challenges in your childhood that I think would be helpful for you to have someone's assistance with processing and hopefully working through, so you can develop the life that you would like, and that your daughters can witness and appreciate and be part of too. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So, Mr. Gervasio, I only have one question. My colleague asked you about the incident in 2021, and you seem to not recall what happened. It's really not that long ago, and it's a pretty serious thing to have happened in your life. So I was concerned about that. I'm going to ask you about the one in 2024, which was not that long ago. Hopefully you remember this one. It says on this one that you struck her approximately 5 times in the right side of her face.
You are trash.
Then you put your hands around her throat and were choking her. The police report says she went unconscious during that time. Do you remember that happening?
I remember that time, and it didn't exactly happen that way. I swung my hand, I slapped her, and then she got up and walked into the bathroom.
Were you choking her? Were you choking her, sir?
No,
You're denying?
I am denying that.
Okay.
There are a lot of times like where, because like these incidences did happen, right? But they just were blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
And
because I'm still getting the feeling from you that you're blaming the victim partially. You know, you're on the list for the Voices program. Have they talked to you about taking that program?
Who they in the prison taking that
Yeah,
program?
Voices. Yeah, have you heard of that? Voices? You heard of that program?
I think I've heard of it.
Well, you're on the list for it, according to my records. I mean, it talks about understanding a little bit better what victims experience and what goes on, because I'm still hearing from you, although you say you take responsibility and you do seem to are heading in the right direction and doing better. I feel like you're not completely there yet, you know, and you're still blaming your behavior on the victim. You know what I mean? It's not their fault that you act this way, regardless of what they do. There's no reason for you to be violent. Nothing they can do.
Right.
Yeah. So you can't say things that you were saying, you know, during this conversation to my colleague. You said a couple different times. It's very concerning that it's almost like you're not taking responsibility and you're saying, well, yeah, that happened, but, you know, they were pushing my buttons, or you said a lot of different ways of the same kind of thing. I understand you had a difficult relationship with the person. That's never a reason to put your hands on somebody. Never a reason to choke someone to the point of unconsciousness, to strike someone in the face. These two incidents, although one is in 2024 and one is in 2021, might as well be the same police report. They look exactly the same. It's 3 years apart, and you're claiming you don't remember the other one. I don't know how. You can't remember something like that, but maybe you were intoxicated. I don't know.
Possibly, but like, I mean, you asked me like what I had for breakfast the other day. I mean, you know,
I know,
like,
but choking someone to unconsciousness is not the same as eating breakfast. Do you know what I'm saying? These are traumatic events that, for all the people involved, the children, the victim, you, it's not the kind of thing that just slips away in your mind. You know what I mean? So, all right, that's all I said. If you have an opportunity to take the Voices program, I think it might help you to get a better understanding of what victims experience in these things, you know? It does sound like you have gained some information from domestic violence, but I'm just concerned about not fully understanding the viewpoint from the victim, you know, by you. So I think we're done with the questions.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. We have one more question. Go ahead.
Sorry. All of your criminal history seems to really be domestic violence. Was the victim in all of those cases the same victim?
yes,
Sure. And is it true you met her at an intensive mental health program?
yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you answering my questions.
Okay, Mr. Gervasio, thank you for answering all our questions. So what's going to happen now is that we're going to talk about your case and deliberate. You can listen during this time. Please don't interrupt. We're done with the questions. And then
Okay.
when we're done, I'm going to tell you an answer. Okay, we're going to let you know today. Okay, thank you. Member Turner.
So I think we're all pretty clear. This is a serious set of circumstances, repeated behavior. The consequence is incarceration. While I appreciate your sentiment about the importance of Voices for giving him some insight, I'm equally concerned about his abuse of substances, specifically alcohol and marijuana, that are impairing his judgment, his ability to regulate his own emotions, to bring his thoughts to bear in a situation of conflict, or, you know, as he put it, disrespect, antagonism. So I don't find him suitable at this time. He still has multiple programs on his OAP that he could benefit from and prepare himself. So I would entertain a rehear for Mr. Gervasio, but it's a deny for me today.
Thank you. Panel Member Keys.
A little on the fence, but although I certainly has very concerning history, I did hear a lot of positive things in the conversation today. Certainly not everything, you know, into perfectly every answer, but I really did hear a lot of insight and self-reflection, and he has been through so much in his life that I was pretty impressed, considering how much he's been through, that he has that level of insight at this time. I like his reentry plan, the connections to the community that he wants and intends to make. you know, it has all been the same victim, and that pretty much is the entirety of his history, and it's not to diminish at all what she went through. It's horrific, and the children had to witness, and that's absolutely horrible. But he seems to understand that, and I could be in favor today of agreeing.
Okay, thank you. So I am in the same place panel member Turner is. That he does sound clear today, but I think when he's intoxicated, it's not probably how he sounds, you know? And so, you know, he really does need to take this addiction services. I'm hoping he can get voices in too, just to get a little more insight. He did, you know, speak clearly today, and does have some insight from the domestic violence program clearly, and, you know, takes responsibility. He says, you know, he's almost there kind of thing. So I would be willing to bring him back for a rehear and see if he can get through these programs and then come back and then, you know, give us some additional information on where he's at. There's just too much violence involved in this for me to feel comfortable with this today without him taking the programs. Alcohol was definitely involved in it. By his own admission, he says that he was consuming alcohol every single day. And he says since he's been in prison that he's clear thinking, and he noticed the difference. And I think if he was in this condition when he was out there, this might have not, some of these things might not happen, you know?
Well, and he could use the opportunity for, you know, a first time in treatment to try to understand what the factors are that are contributing to his choice to abuse substances. He's got to get that insight in order to get a handle on things. I would add to the list of programs fatherhood. I mean, he needs to develop some skills if he's going to be in his children's life for guiding them and having healthy relationships with them.
So what are we thinking about for right here? It looks like it's end of sentence for my records is April of 2027.
I'd say September.
Yeah, it's fine with me. Yeah, I was thinking some anytime before.
It is under use supervision building.
No. September of 2026. So I'm going to say any positive programs. Do you want me to specifically label anything?
No, because those are on his OAP, and he's heard us talk about the fatherhood program, which is a voluntary program. He could also benefit from New Thoughts, which isn't on his OAP. I'd like to see him, you know, sign up and go to some AA meetings and see what that community is all about in terms of recovery. So there's a lot he could do with this intervening 9 months.
The reasons I have were nature and circumstances, inadequate program participation, current
Yes.
offense committed on probation.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion in regards to Francesco Gervasio, inmate number 443364. I'm going to make a motion to deny discretionary parole today based on the nature and circumstances of the current offense, inadequate institutional program participation, and a current offense was committed while on probation. And further move to rehear this case in September of 2026. The following recommendations: complete any positive programs and receive no disciplinary reports. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so Mr. Gervasio, you've been denied discretionary parole today, but we do hear some insight from the domestic violence program that you've taken, and you're taking responsibility for what happened. So we'd like to give you another opportunity to come back and see us after you take a couple more programs. You're going to need to advocate. Do you have a counselor there that you talk to?
No.
All right, you're gonna have to find a counselor, someone that you can talk to and advocate for yourself and say, I went to the parole hearing. They told me I need to take programs. You know, if I don't take them, I'm not gonna be suitable again the next time you come. So you need to come back to us in September of 2026 and be able to say that you took some programs and what you learned from them. And you heard the programs that we talked about. There's a lot of different things that could be helpful to you.
Are those programs going to be like written down and sent to them, the counselor?
They're already on your OAP, sir.
They're on your OAP, but in addition to the programs that are on your offender accountability plan, you can always volunteer for programs. If you see people taking an AA class in your dorm and it's something they meet every night, or if you could sign up for a fatherhood program, anything you can get into to make yourself better, so that you're ready to be out in the community and not commit crimes. That's what we want to hear about. Okay. So, but you're gonna need to advocate for yourself and tell somebody that these are the things that you want to do. You said that you're a vocal person, you like to talk. This is an opportunity for you to tell people. Go ahead.
Sorry, I did, when I first came here, I asked for all of those things.
I know we have, I understand that. It's may not, there's a lot of people in the facility and everybody can't be in every program. I get all that. And you did take domestic violence. It's good. But we need to see a little bit more. These crimes are very serious. So we need to see a little bit more.
Okay,
Okay. Good luck to you, sir. We'll see you in September. Okay.
thank you.
Okay, so he's going to be coming back in September. Leave a comment if you think he's going to do well or get paroled. I mean, truthfully, you can do really poorly, not listen to any of their requests, get write-ups, and still get paroled. So, you know, it's you just leave your comment on whether or not you think he's going to do it. But I told you, I mean, for me, this was like a roller coaster hearing. You go in feeling bad for the guy. I can't imagine really a worse hell than being sent to like a maximum security prison and being blind. I really can't. Like the empathy that I have for him there, it is real because that just has to be complete hell. But then what becomes so confusing about this, where you start to lose the whole empathy thing, is like when you hear just what a bastardly bully, I was gonna say, bully he is. It's like, it's terrifying. And then how he nonchalantly just dismisses it. And you know, the thing that he said, I don't even remember what I ate for breakfast, I think is all you need to know. He said that at his parole hearing. And Sir Richard Bull, this guy has he has a long history of doing this to people. Look what he has. This is 2011. Blind man allegedly threatened sister with her cane. And then in the article, it goes on to say that she's terrified of him and that he's a bully. And there's a like this guy has a long record. He also has some bad luck. It says in Richard found that in 2006 or something, he was hit by a truck. I mean, the truck went through the road. He was with a group of guys and he didn't see the truck coming. So he got hit. And he's got like a long record. Again, let me go over it with you because it's just so I don't understand how someone who's blind plays video games or has such a long record. Someone's going to have to educate me on this. Arrested in 2017, pled guilty misdemeanor disorderly conduct, was sentenced to 90 days suspended. And you can only imagine the judge and the defense attorney, you know, eventually they're just like, I don't care that you're blind. You're dangerous. You're going to go to prison. And you find out how he met his current girlfriend at some like psych thing. And it's like, oh, okay, great. You know, so it's so arrested at 11/12/2020, threatening second degree, sentenced 1 year, suspended. Sentenced, pled guilty to misdemeanor breach of peace, second degree. Here we have 8/31/2021, assault, third degree, unlawful restraint, reckless endangerment, 11 months jail, suspended, probation 2 years. And it's always like the joke. If you could see, he has suspended sentences here, suspended sentences here, suspended sentences. It's like, at what point do the suspended sentences like, like they're, you know, and I guess that's what happened eventually. I mean, he was released, so he's 3/17/23 pled guilty, misdemeanor violation, condition of release, was sentenced on conditional discharge. So he did some time and then came back and then got, I don't know, arrested 12/9/2024, risk of, this is the main offense, 30 months jail and 3 months respectively. His full term is 6/10/2027. And again, for me, this entire case, and then Sir Richard provides more research. There's a decent amount here with his different charges. I it's so weird to me. It's just hard to wrap my mind around, like a bully, a blind bully. And I get that like he can have all that rage in the way that he was talking about it, but it was like as if he was completely blind to the fact that he's not the victim in this. Like he's really harming people and harming people in front of his kids, and maybe he'll kill someone one day. Um But again, I wouldn't wish his punishment on my worst enemies, being blind in prison. Wow. Okay. So we can go into another parole hearing, another someone who likes to harm other people. Let's go.
Deontay Barker, 441081.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Deontay Barker, inmate number 441081. He is serving a sentence of 8 years execution, suspended after 4 years jail with 4 years probation for 3 counts of violation of protective order, threatening second, violation of probation with the underlying offense of 2 counts of larceny second, violation of probation with the underlying offense of conspiracy to commit burglary third, and a violation of probation with the underlying offense of engaging police in pursuit. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of May 14th, 2026. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan before the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has not completed any programs. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender overall score on the SRT falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole.
To the Board of Pardon and Parole, allow me to please explain myself why I should be granted parole. First and foremost, I was a broken man when I came in the Department of Corrections. However, throughout the utilization of positive programming and voluntarily choosing to change became the glue which put me back together. I have changed my behavior and created a re-entry plan for the upcoming months and years. In the short term, one plan to obtain employment and strive to save as much as possible. Thereafter, I intend to become independent and find my own apartment while building my credit score with a year. With a 1 year period, I intend to have enough in order to provide for my son to come stay with me in a loving and safe environment where he can be nurtured and taken care of. I intend on becoming a positive influence in the community with family at the center of my success. Dear board, I understand my behavior in the past was unacceptable, and for that I have been, and I am willing to embrace the consequences. However, I assure you, and I am ready for the re-entry. Thank you. God bless.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Barker, for your opening statement. So what's going to happen today is that we're all going to take turns asking you questions. And then when we're done, we're going to talk about your case and deliberate and then give you an answer today, okay?
Yes, sir.
All righty. My colleague, panel member Keys, is going to start with the questions this morning.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your opening statement. You talked about coming in as a broken man, but through positive programming, you put yourself back together. Can you talk about the programming you participated in?
Well, it wasn't programmed, but I was in JD. I was doing my JD and up until I caught a ticket. So I was trying to work on getting that. So when I go in there, I have something in the world that I could look out doing.
Yeah, no, that'd be really helpful. I think it's a good use of the time in there. Here it's harder to acquire in the community. It's a lot easier. It's still difficult in there, but it'll be harder in the community. Okay, and then because of you got a ticket, and so you're now not in the GED program again, so you have to wait some time.
Yeah, up until I caught the ticket 4 months ago, I was enrolled in school doing the GED, and then once you caught the ticket, you get kicked out. So yeah, I just signed back up for school though, in Vocational Village.
Okay. So yeah, you do have several tickets since you've been in there. I'm trying to find in my notes the number 5. Is what I have. What's going on
with the tickets?
Yeah, why do you have so many tickets? I guess, all right, we'll go through them. So sounds like 2 of them are related to tattoos. That's the most recent ones, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then your security tampering from July last year was using another person's PIN number to make a phone call. Who were you calling?
I was calling those who were just my mom and just friends at the time.
Were you calling the victim at all or no?
No.
And the fighting ticket from last November or November 2024. That one.
Oh, that was just a kid that I knew from the world, and we had problems in the world. So he had problems with my boy and me. He swung on my boy. I was there, and I just made the wrong decision by jumping in.
And the threatening one, which was your first, who were you on the phone with?
That was, at the time, my girlfriend, not the victim.
Okay, a different. Yeah, in that year, you were threatening to whack her.
Nah, I guess she called, I don't know, she called the jail and said that I was threatening her. I don't know. That was when I think that was when I first came in, right?
Yeah, June 2024,
Yeah.
June 17th.
Yeah, I guess she called the jail and said that I was threatening her on the phone. I don't remember threatening her, but if I did, that's my fault. I just take full accountability. I apologize to the female, and I did my sex time for that.
Yeah, it was, sounds like the DOC was conducting a call review, the calls were recorded, and so they had found it in a call review and had some quotes as to what you had said during the call. So I don't know if she reported it at all, but I know DOC found it during just part of their work. All right, and you have not, it definitely sounds like a DV program would be helpful, because that's threatening a female girlfriend, and your offenses are primarily DV, right?
With the DV program, I've been writing since I've been in this jail. I've been here for about 5-6 months now. Since I've been in this jail, they keep writing me back saying I'm on the waiting list. I've been trying my best to get into the program. Anything I could do, I know my ticket's just clear, so can't enroll in no programs until the ticket's clear. So.
Okay, I'm glad you know that, because I was gonna say that too, that you gotta stay out of trouble so you can take programs, because you need to be ready to go out so that you can live the life you want and not, keep making mistakes and stuff. You want to be more ready, right?
Yes, ma'am. And I plan on taking domestic violence in the world too, and anger management programs and stuff like that too. So
good, that's good. What about counseling? I don't remember. Have you ever done counseling before in the community?
When I was home, yes, I was doing counseling, but I wasn't attending it like that.
Yeah.
That's why whenever I was falling off bad, I was supposed to be on my medication. I wasn't. Stopped taking my medication, stopped attending counseling, I had going to drug classes weekly. I stopped doing all that, and then that's when I ended up catching the new case.
Yeah, you gotta take care of yourself so that your health is number one, and then because you can't be healthy with anybody else or have a healthy life for yourself or your son if you're not doing what you need to do for yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
I will say we did receive a letter from your prior employer that confirmed you have an offer of employment upon your release. I do think. So you mentioned, you want to create, in your reentry plan, you read to us, you want to create a healthy home for your son. What would that look like?
Financially stable, no violence, no drama, just a place where he could come and spend time with his father, something I didn't have growing up, and he could just enjoy his time being with his dad.
That's really great. Just want to write that down because I don't want to miss that. And it's important for him to have that at your home when he's with his dad, but also important for him to have that when he's at home with his mom.
With his mother, yes. I just want to be able to co-parent and have a healthy relationship with my kid's mother and just be able to be there for him.
Because even just adding stress in her life is not helpful. Then she's, then whether it's her choice or not, she has a stressful home environment that's not best for him. And you want your son to have 2 healthy homes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I know you were just sentenced a few months ago too, so you probably haven't had as much access to programs, and then with the DRs, that's not going to help. And so probation, I do have records from your probation. You think it was stopping going to programs? Because I have, it started, July 2023. It was about 5 months later. There was a warrant from Rhode Island. Then 2 months after that, you were arrested in Norwich, motor vehicle. Then in April, so the next month, arrested again for recidivism, carrying a dangerous weapon. So that's kind of when you would stop treatment and stop meds, you think?
Yeah, the carrying dangerous weapon, that's the first time I caught the case, and then I caught the violation of protective order and stuff after that. But yeah, that's around the time I stopped taking I was diagnosed with anxiety, depression.
Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna clear off, I don't mean to be rude. This is live streamed, and so it's actually for your benefit. I don't want you to reveal to the public, not that I think most people want it, but we want to keep your private mental health or medical stuff private if we
All right.
can. But thank you. I appreciate you being willing to tell us. I just don't want you to put it all out there for whatever.
Thank you.
Okay. I apologize for interrupting. All right. I think, I appreciate your responses to my questions. You sound good. I do want you to have more programming notes. I really want you to be more ready. So I'll just let you know that now. I think completing your GED would be great. It's great to have the job offer, and it sounds like whenever you get out, that'll be there for you. So that's really important and helpful. But yeah, I think, trying to get your GED, have some more programs, you're really ready, and you can come out there and be on a more solid ground for yourself, and then you'll be better off for your son too. But thank you for answering my questions. I'm also, thank you. Chair.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions. Maternity, you have anything?
I guess, what gets at the heart of this, Mr. Barker, is your unwillingness to comply with the court's order protecting the victim in this case. I've never seen a pre-sentence investigation with so many listed violations of a protective order. So my question to you is, what do you understand, because this protective order is in place until 2045 and you have a child together, what do you understand this protective order means?
No threatening, no harassment, and I just gotta follow what the court says and stay compliant with the court order.
Why weren't you willing to do that when you were in the community?
To be honest, I was really hard. I just had the baby with her and stuff, and I was just trying to be with my son, and I was just going through a lot at the time, and I wasn't really all there.
So you were being selfish?
Yes, selfish and just selfish, I guess, yes.
No, because this wasn't just, I want to see my son, how's my son doing? You were engaging in threats. You were calling her from inside the correctional center in violation of the protective order. I have 42 texts and 18 phone calls.
That was from when I was out? Or yes, right?
Who can keep track, sir? Honestly, it's absurd. The order is put in place for a reason, because you seem to be incapable of controlling your own self and your behavior. And the state of Connecticut feels like it's necessary to step in and protect the victim. And your unwillingness to have any regard for that kind of ratchets right up there with your driving records. You're not willing to abide by the rules of society when it comes to driving. Driving on a suspended license, driving without a license, engaging police in a pursuit. So you need to understand, Mr. Barker, that we make the decision about whether it's suitable for you to finish the 4 years you have to serve out in the community on parole supervision in light of the interests of public safety. And you come to us as someone who is not abiding by the rules there in the correctional center, was not abiding by the rules of society when you were out, and you've not engaged in any programming to benefit yourself, to prepare yourself to be anything different when you're back out in the community. So, I'm hard pressed to find you suitable. And I also want to point out that in your opening statement, it's great that you have a plan for yourself, but you said absolutely nothing by way of remorse for the harm mentally, emotionally, physically that you caused to the victim. And I would hope that you'd engage in a fatherhood program while you're there, again, in the community, because you need to teach your son how to respect women. And the best way to do that is to treat his mother with respect.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Barker, we're done with the questions now. So we're going to talk about your case and deliberate. You can listen, sir, but please don't interrupt. We're done with the part with the questions, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Keys.
Thank you. So, you know, his history is extremely concerning. Lots of violations of protective orders, lots of violence. He sounds good today, like I said. So I do want him to have the benefit of programming, and then yes, the DR. So he's still struggling with some of his behavior and following the rules. So I'd like him to have some programming. So I am going to deny today for inadequate institutional program participation, nature and or circumstance, for institutional adjustment. We could also do criminal history or current offense committed on supervision, but
Okay, Councilmember Turner.
I do not find Mr. Barker, as I just explained to him, suitable. And I would add offense on probation because he had 3 violations of probation when he went on this spree of violating the protective orders.
Yeah, I agree with everything that both of you have said. So I have nature, circumstances, poor institutional adjustment, current offense while on probation, inadequate program participation was 4. Anything else that we need to talk about here before I make this motion? Okay. So in regards to Deontay Barker, inmate number 441081, a motion to deny discretionary parole today based on the nature and circumstances of the current offense, or institutional adjustment, current offense committed while on probation, and inadequate institutional program participation. Do I have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Barker, I know this isn't what you want to hear, but we were not able to grant you discretionary parole today because of the reasons that we all stated. It really is about your suitability, sir. So the first thing is my recommendation: you got to stay away from the DRs. Like somehow don't get disciplinary reports. You got to figure it out because you're not going to be able to get into the programs that you need, right? When you have DRs, And then once you get back in the GED program, finish that up. Like my colleague said, I think fatherhood would be right for you too. You have domestic violence on here. You could certainly use that, need to be ready so that when you go back out, you don't come back. We don't want you to come back. So you need to take these programs to learn and change your thinking, so that way when you go out, you can do all those things that you said. You have people that want to give you a job. You have a lot of stuff here that are going for you. Someone wrote a letter, took the time to write a letter from their company letterhead, talking about how good of an employee you are. So there are some good things here. We don't see that often, So just keep doing what you're doing. Don't get DRs. You got to stay away from it. You're not going to get in the programs you need. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, good luck.
A denial, a surprising denial out of the state of Connecticut. I guess because he's not a chomo, they can't deny, right? I mean, the truth is, if he was a chomo, they would grant. But I'm not saying that they shouldn't have. They did the right thing. They did the right thing for one. It's always a surprise. 5/14/2028 is his full term date. We're gonna go and see another hearing in a minute for someone who is just a little bit different because he's like an outdoorsman. He's like a fisherman, but but his victim is his mother, and he wants to go back to his mother. That's his plan. It's pretty bizarre, but he's also a violent man. But before we watch that, let me just do some unpacking. Sir Richard has quite a lot here. This guy, look how long his record is and how many times he's made the news. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 news articles. That's pretty unique, especially for someone who's so young. And let's just go through it real quick. Arrested 11/13/2021, DV, criminal violation, no contact order, first offense, right? They give him a reconnaissance bond. Arrested 8/6/2022, engaging in a police pursuit. By the way, I think this is the same case. They rob people at gunpoint and engage in a police pursuit. I don't know, maybe that's a different one, but can you imagine that? Already having a record, engaging in a police pursuit, and what do? They give him 364 days jail, but suspended. No time for it. Probation 2 years. This is how is that possible? Right? When he already owes them time. Then we go to arrested on 10/26/2022. So what's he do? It takes just 2 months after getting a sweetheart deal, after getting arrested for this, so that he gets arrested for this. 10/26/2022, pled guilty, larceny second degree, was sentenced 6 years jail, but also suspended, probation 5 years. I mean, it's a mockery. It's a mockery of the system when you keep going through what he's doing and the sentences he's getting, suspended sentences. It's like, no wonder he doesn't care, because the whole system's a joke. Arrested 10/17/2022, pled guilty to felony conspiracy to commit burglary, third degree, sentenced 5 years jail, suspended, probation 2 years. Arrested 9/23/2023, illegal operation of motor vehicle, unconditional discharge. Arrested 4/15/2024, pled guilty to misdemeanor threatening physical threat 2, sentenced 3 to 64 days jail. This is part of this. This is all now why we're in prison today. Like, all those years that he owes them from all of this, and it's like, it's gone. It's not there. All those years he owes them is not there. This is only for his latest offenses. So it's really like the whole thing's a gimmick. We've gone through this 100 times, but it never ceases to shock me when I look at it and read it again. Violation of protective order, sentence 4 years, suspended after 2 years. Probation 4 years. Arrested 5/15/2024, felony violation of protective order, sentence of 4 years. That's why we're here now. Arrested 9/26/2024, pled guilty, violation of protective order. Again, he got like all these 2-4s. This is a 4-year sentence. That's what he got, the 4-year sentence. And he's involved where all of this smoke that you see, there's a lot of fire. Like, Service Route found articles where he was stealing cars and he was doing armed, like it's just a life of crime that for some reason the judges and DAs kept giving him suspended sentences. Then finally they said enough's enough. And it was like all those suspended sentences, poof, magic poof, they're gone. He doesn't even need to serve them. It's just the new time he has. It's strange. It's so odd. I don't know. At least that's the way I'm understanding it. Tell me if I'm wrong. So we'll go into now the fisherman who wants to go back home to mom.
James Jones, 447-899.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for James Jones, inmate number 447-899. He's serving a sentence of 3 years jail, flat sentence for criminal violation of protective order, failure to appear first, arson third, and 2 counts of violation of protective order. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of December 12, 2025. There's no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed behavior management and is currently participating in Tier 2. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Good morning. Well, first off, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I appreciate it. And, this year and a half has been a big learning experience for me. I've really had time to sit down and reflect on my decisions that led me here and what I've done to my family, my friends, and everyone else who, I had connections with in the world. So, I not only hurt myself, but I hurt them as well. And I have a plan for going forward so that this doesn't happen again. This is my first incarceration, and I definitely will make it my last. In terms of housing and environment, I plan to go to my mom's if you guys will allow me to go there. That's my primary address of interest. She lives on a farm, so I'll be able to wake up early, help her out with the animals, get back into the swing of things, and be held accountable for staying clean and held to certain responsibilities, as well I can get myself into a job. As far as employment and education, I have experience with landscaping and hardscaping. I have my homeowner's improvement contract license. I had a successful landscaping business for a few years. And then I started to go to school for marine biology. And then ended up getting a job in the commercial fishing industry. So that's something of interest as well. I have many connections there for when I go home, jobs waiting for me, and I definitely am interested in finishing my degree in marine biology. As far as support systems and family members, I have my mother, I have my sister, my grandfather, my grandmother. They all are supporting me, and I've been in communication with them since I've been incarcerated, maintaining a good, healthy relationship with everyone. And I look forward to seeing them when I get out. As far as growth and personal growth and self-support, I plan on continuing programs when I get out of here. Definitely getting into therapy weekly, going back and seeing a psychiatrist, and being on the proper medication for my mental health diagnoses, and comply with anything that parole may ask me to do, such as drug tests and things of that nature, programs, whatever they would like. And my long-term goals are to get out. I had a house on 20 acres, maybe rebuild that and rebuild my landscaping business while going to school, and, just kind of put one foot in front of the other and start fresh and put this behind me.
Okay, thank you very much for your opening statement, Mr. Jones. So what's going to happen today is that we're all going to take turns asking you questions. And then when we're done, we're going to deliberate, talk about your case, and then we'll give you an answer today, okay?
Okay, thank you.
My colleague, panel member Turner, is going to start with the questions.
So, Mr. Jones, you did a really good job with that opening statement.
Thank you.
I especially like your delivery. You're just very even keel, but very clear. And I'm not sure I was expecting that from you today based on the documents that we read. And I also want to recognize that in this first period of incarceration, hopefully last, you haven't had any disciplinary issues.
No,
We
definitely.
We like to see that. We don't always. But, I realize it's not that easy inside. So that is to your credit. How did you do it?
Just really, when I got frustrated, kind of just took a deep breath. Luckily they gave us tablets. So, if you got to put your headphones in and kind of tune out your celly and be the bigger person, I always kind of found that to be a good strategy. And I've also enjoyed reading. I had family members send me plenty of books, so I stayed busy with doing that. And I got into art again, just anything to kill time and try to stay sane, But
you got an excellent evaluation in the anger management program, and it sounds like you learned some actual skills to help you regulate your emotions. These are really serious charges that brought you to where you are today. Can you share with us what was going on for you, Mr. Jones? Because you're 28 and that you have no prior criminal history. And then bam, what happened?
I was definitely experiencing some mental health problems. I was on and off different medications that I think I was experiencing some adverse side effects too, as well as I was definitely abusing substances, smoking a lot of marijuana, and taking hallucinogenics. And obviously that combination right there just doesn't go hand in hand. So I kind of flew off the wagon and just, I guess I hit rock bottom, and
how much do you remember about what what you were doing out there?
Bits and pieces. I wouldn't say all of it, definitely not all of it, but, you know, certain things, yes. And certain things I hear from the reports and I'm like, geez, that definitely was not me, you know?
Have you had a chance to, you know, have a cards on the table kind of conversation with your mom about what you put her through?
Yes, we speak daily. I probably use half of my phone calls on her since the judge granted telephonic communication. And we've had a very stable relationship since my incarceration. I think I just had to sit down and really just, you know, kind of, I think this was something positive for our relationship, even though it was very negative at first, you know, obviously me going to jail, me putting her what I put her through. But I think coming out of this, we'll be stronger as a family and
Well, you're exceptionally lucky, Mr. Jones, to still have them by your side.
Yes.
It was, must have been very frightening for them. So, but back to my question, you've been incarcerated since August of 2024.
Yes.
How did you go about the conversation with your mother where you were able to hear her experience, maybe some of the details of what you were responsible for, and then work through it?
We've just kind of brought it up, and she kind of brought it up, I should say, you know, certain things that I've done. And, you know, just, I think she realizes that that wasn't the true me, that I was experiencing problems and going through things and having my own demons. And she just really wants to see me stay clean and sober and on the straight and narrow when I get out. So that's definitely the plan moving forward.
So talk to me about your relapse prevention plan.
I plan to go to therapy weekly. I plan to have go to psychiatrist and just stay busy, get back and active and working out and in the gym. I have healthy hobbies. I love fishing. That's my favorite thing to do.
Okay. So I'm looking for any kind of recovery practices that might help you stay away from marijuana and mushrooms and the other hallucinogens you were doing.
I could go to meetings, NA meetings and things of that nature.
Well, it's interesting that you put it that way. You could, sure. Do you intend to?
Yes, I do.
All right. Are you going to AA meetings while you're in tier 2?
I have not yet. I just got the information from Counselor Stango. It's from tier 2.
All right. But all of 2025, when you were in the facility and they were calling people for AA and NA meetings, you didn't sign up?
I don't believe that they had them where I was, and I was at Walker, and I didn't hear any meetings or of anything that nature in Walker. I've only been here for 4 months now.
Well, I hope you'll have a chance to experience a meeting or two. You ever done that in the community?
I went to Al-Anon meetings a handful of times when I was a kid. Yes.
So you know a little bit about the program, but I know your mom's in recovery, which is wonderful to have somebody in your life who might understand your struggle. Do you consider yourself an addict?
I suppose yes. At this point, yes.
Okay.
People say
And not very committal, but you know, at least you're open to the idea that you have a problem with substances.
Yeah.
I was a little concerned when you talked about wanting to live on your mom's farm, and you mentioned, you know, being held accountable for being clean. You're the only one who can hold yourself accountable. You know, it's not anybody else's responsibility but yours, right?
Yeah. Yes. but I believe that being around people, you know, you are the company that you keep, you know, so if I'm not around people that are using and smoking marijuana and drinking and doing things of that nature, then I'm not going to be as enticed to do so.
Right.
And
Sure.
so my support group and my friends and all of my family members are sober. So if I stick to that group, then I obviously am going to be number one for holding myself accountable, but they'll recognize if something's off as well.
Right. But the commitment has to come from you.
Yes.
Tell me about your priorities.
My priorities, getting out would be number one, would be getting a job. As I said, I had a landscaping business in the past. I do have the funds to get that going again if I choose to, but in the meantime, I plan to get a job as a commercial fisherman, just to get my foot in the door and get back in the routine of having a job. And then probably in the off season after working for a year, I'd like to go part-time back to school for marine biology and look towards.
Yeah, I did hear your long-term goals as you laid them out in your opening statement. You know, priorities to me are just a little bit different. It's what's most important, and you know, whether you're released today or you're released in April of 2027, you will be back in the community. But given the nature of the crisis that you had that precipitated the criminal behavior, I would hope for you, Mr. Jones, that your number one priority would be your mental health.
Yes. That's how that is number one.
Okay, well, it's good to clarify that, because you know you can't be successful in the other aspects of your life and achieve the things that you want for yourself unless you're taking care of that, because that crisis that you are in is why you're sitting before us today. So that needs your number one attention.
Yes.
Along with your recovery, because as you explained, it was playing with illegal substances and their interaction adversely with your medication that led to things like, you know, threatening to set the house on fire and to harm yourself. So, are you familiar with the idea of having a sponsor in recovery?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something that you think could be helpful to you?
Yes.
Do you think it's advisable to have a sponsor who isn't a family member?
I think that would be better. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I do hope you'll pursue that as you have a chance to attend meetings and, you know, see other people that you connect with, and ask if they're available to sponsor you. Because you need that person with the perspective on recovery who can help guide you, but also call you on your stinking thinking, you know?
Absolutely. Yes. I agree 100%. And sometimes with family members, it can get a little too personal if you mix.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a whole history there that factors in with hurt feelings and resentments and fear. The March of 2024 police report, the thing that really stood out for me was your sister being afraid of you. Where do things stand in that relationship?
We're on good terms. We speak pretty often. She lives out of state in New Jersey, and we seem to have gotten back on better terms now. You
That's
know,
great.
I've apologized as many times as I can, but I think the biggest for them is them seeing that I'm going to get out and be a different person, you know, and I've tried to explain that they're just going to have to build trust as we go, and you know, it can't be earned overnight. So I think they have good faith in that, and that's the only thing that I can do, you know, is just go by day by day.
Like you
And
said, yeah, day by day. When do you finish tier 2?
I believe I have my last class today at 1:45.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
congratulations on that. The issue about your mom. So were you to be granted today, you know, she is the victim of your crimes. And I know that she is no longer fearful of you and would accept you as a proposed sponsor, her being your sponsor. I would want to see you either halfway house or some other living arrangement prior to you living with the victim of your crimes. So how do you feel about that?
That's understandable. I gave a second person, I believe, Officer Menard reached out to him. His name is Ray. So he's willing to have me live over there and until, you know, it was basically a backup plan because I had a feeling that would not really fly, living with my mother because she was the victim. So
we want to see you demonstrating stability and independence. How do you know Ray?
I've known him for years through fishing, and we've just become friends through that.
All right, and you'd be in his home, or
He owns a multifamily, and I believe there's 2 other people that live there right now in separate units.
okay, so you'd have your own unit, sort of
Yes.
self-sponsoring. You're going to pay him rent.
Yes.
And where is Ray located? Where is this multi-unit?
New Britain. Do you need the
Okay.
specific address?
Nope, not over the live stream. And where is the fishing job?
My main one is out of New London. That's where most of the boats that I fish out of are from.
Okay.
But sometimes I travel to Cape Cod. And
All right. So I'm just trying to, in my mind, I'm going to logistics. So there's a distance between New Britain and New London. And,
yes.
You know, you, in March of 2024, you were driving without insurance and unregistered motor vehicle. So one of my conditions where you be granted today is no driving without your parole officer's permission, because you were failing to abide by the rules of our society, the laws. So how do you envision getting from New Britain to New London for work?
I know they do have public transportation. So that would be an option. And then between there, you know, I know there's different ride services and stuff like that nowadays, you know, so.
That could be expensive. Do you have your own motor vehicle?
Yes.
Do you have a valid license?
It's going to be valid, I believe, in February. Yes.
You mean reinstated in February?
Reinstated in February. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, be real careful with those kind of decisions and abiding by the conditions of your release, because you don't want to be brought back on a violation, because parole has arrest powers. So they just pick you up. And so my last question, if you can believe it, Mr. Jones, is, you know, were you to be granted your pasture eligibility date? So we're looking at January. What kind of fishing goes on in January, February, March? What are you looking at? Is this the off season? Is there really employment?
It's not really, there's always going to be a job. There's different draggers that fish year round. Lobstering is just starting. So, you know, they're repairing pots and doing stuff like that, fixing the traps, doing maintenance on the boats. So even in the off season, there's always something to do. It may not be, you know, 14-hour shifts and stuff like that, but there's always going to be, you know, something to be done.
Okay, well, that's good to know. You're living in New Britain. Where is your, I know I said I was done. Your mental health provider is where?
He was in Cromwell, but I'm going to have to find a new one when I get out. And I have multiple references.
Referrals? Okay.
Referrals, but probably in the Middletown area.
All right. Since you aren't yet connected with somebody, I'm just going to say again, please make this your top priority.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Keith, do you have any questions?
I think one, so, you seem, as my colleague started her questioning, you seem really good and stable today. You feel, you're currently on treatment, you feel good and stable, and you think you'd be able to sustain what you're on?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and then working with a provider if you start to feel differently and, okay.
Yes.
Seem like that is, yeah, I agree, that would be your number one priority, but you do have support, you've done really well, so. All right, well, thank you very much. I just work with your parole officer. You haven't been in a situation before, anything, an overnight somewhere, anything, you need to talk to them, get their approval. Really work with them, try and build a good relationship just to make sure you don't inadvertently make a mistake and do something wrong. Try and really work with your parole officer. All right, thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Jones, I just had a couple of things I just wanted to talk to you about because you haven't been on supervision before, and this is really your first time being incarcerated. So when you came into prison, they said that you could not have contact with your mother, right? By phone or email or anything. They didn't want you to have any contact?
No, yes, correct.
But then over time, you were able to earn that level of responsibility to be able to start communicating with her, right?
Yes.
It's going to be the same kind of thing out in the community with your mother, with driving. Do you know what I'm saying? So you understand. You're going to hear us talking in a minute about different things. So just keep in mind that we say things, it's not, forever, you know what I mean? You have to we want to go slow and be careful, and over time you can make those requests just like you did. You said you were able to get privileges from the judge to be able to talk to your mother on the phone. You can make those same kind of requests to your parole officer when you get out, as far as driving, your mother, where you're going to live. All those things can be modified and worked on if you're able to show them you're stable and that you're following through on your plan. Employment, mental health, drug treatment, all those things. You know what I mean?
Yes,
But,
understand.
Nobody wants to put you right into a bad situation and then something sparks, you have one bad day, we don't want that. We want this to be slow and easy, get your feet, back in the ground and get settled, and then ease your way into these relationships where you've had problems in the past. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's all I wanted to say, sir. We're going to deliberate and talk about your case. So, please don't interrupt during this time. You can listen, okay? And we'll come back and give you our answer shortly.
Okay.
All right. Panel Turner.
So Mr. Jones is 28 years old. He has no prior criminal history. During this first period of incarceration, he scores moderate risk to reoffend. He's had no disciplinary issues, and he's been able to complete, as of today, 2 very positive, helpful programs, anger management and Tier 2. But possibly most importantly, he's been attending to his mental health needs, which was an underpinning of the crimes that he committed. So we're seeing him in a very stable and emotionally calm place, which is great, because it was a very different picture in the community back in June of 2024. He was really out of control, and it was very unfortunate because he obviously knows what his mental health needs are, and now is, I think, abundantly clear that those needs don't mix with illegal substances. based on his plan, his efforts of rehabilitation and acceptance of responsibility, I would like to grant Mr. Jones early release to discretionary parole.
Agreed. Family member Keys?
So my conditions are mental health treatment and medication compliance, halfway house, no contact with the victim EM without PO's permission, and no driving without PO's permission.
Okay, we took anger management in the facility. Do you think that?
No, we don't usually make that one
Okay.
a part two in the community.
Okay, so, and really talk about alcohol really hasn't been involved in this. It sounds like it was more about other substances. So halfway house placement if needed, mental health evaluation and treatment, along with medication compliance, right?
No, it's mental health treatment and medication compliance.
Okay, let me make sure I word that right. Halfway house mental health treatment, medication compliance, no contact without the parole officer's permission of the victim EM. And then no driving without the parole officer's permission. You can get that straightened out over time, hopefully. Okay, do you have anything else?
No.
Alrighty, I think we're in agreement on this. Maybe a motion in regards to James Jones, inmate number 447899. Grant discretionary parole on or after today's date, January 9th, 2026. The following conditions: halfway house placement if needed, mental health,
Halfway house placement.
okay. Halfway house placement, mental health treatment and medication compliance. And no driving without the parole officer's permission, and no contact with the victim EM without the parole officer's permission. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Jones, you've been granted discretionary parole. Like I told you leading up to that discussion, there's going to be these restrictions. We put the halfway house on there because your housing situation is a little up in the air now. So it's the same thing with all of these things. You can work on these things and modify them as you go. So the same thing with your driving. Get your driver's license straightened out and then show it to your parole officer and go from there, with your driving.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Good luck
Thank
to you,
you.
sir. Okay.
Thank you.
And they granted, and I'm happy that they granted, right? I think like this is really one of the more bizarre cases that we've covered. And I feel like they had no curiosity into it. They didn't dig. Like if it was Miss Bonnie Jackson, right? You would have really wanted to understand, what is it that caused you? I mean, is it simply, can you just say mental illness? And is that really what it was? Because if you look at his record, it actually is bizarre. I know I called him a violent man before, but I'm not sure that that's a fair. It's more like he just had violent episode. You go through his thing and he has no record up until 2024, 1/11/24. So okay, so that's he's arrested on 1/11/24 for violation of a protection order, right? He's arrested on 4/5/24 for also violation of a protection order, 6/13/24. I guess another violation of a protection order, and 8/28/24 for the arson third degree. So it's like, and obviously for him to get the protection orders, things must have been going on. But it all happened like a snowball effect in, I don't know, an 8-9 month period. And who knows what was happening before then, I guess, to lead to the protection order things. But a few things that were interesting about this hearing. I mean, one is, I thought that he was a little bit misleading. He's like, oh, I have all these acres that I can go move to. And it's like, no, those aren't your acres. You don't. He said, I think he used the words, I own those acres. No, it's your mom's property. And to say that you own property that you're going to go to when it's really your mom's property, who is the one that your crimes have been against, that was what I caught. And that is just, the classic criminal behavior stuff, trying to be manipulative, trying to pull a quick one. And the parole board knew that that's not what was going down. And then there are other parts where, I was listening to this hearing. I listened to all these hearings without looking at them. So I had no idea what he looked like. And you kind of make your own assumptions in your head. And he was not that. He was just not, the big fisherman who, and so it was, he sounded like very you know, well spoken, and his ambition of wanting to be a marine biologist, and I actually believe it. Why not? And that he understands his craft as well. You know, he's and you can get a good if you're a good fisherman, you can get a job. It's one of those things these days, right? Where they're always looking for people to work in that type of field. Someone across the street from Grandpa Do, there's a lobster place, and I always see those guys out there laying the traps, and it's like it's really cool business. But um, it's just weird. It's a weird case. It's a weird kind of I hopefully hopefully they figured things out and got things under control. But again, my main takeaway was that they didn't really seem to care what the underlying cause was, and to try to creep in there and figure out more. Just the whole thing seems like an anomaly, really. And what a horrible idea to go back to his mom. There's just that seems like the dumbest thing in the world. I wonder if they're going to agree to it. I don't really have much more information. Sir Richard did find links like the arson. The house didn't light on fire. It seemed that there were just fire lit around the house. So I don't know. I can't see that it was like this big fire, right? That burnt down her house. He was just charged with arson after. Well, it says structure fire. Home in March. Structure fire is a house on fire. Third degree arson tied to structure fire at his home. I'm just reading this. Was also charged with first degree reckless endangerment and illegal burning, kindling fire in open. East Hampton police said news release Monday. Who was in custody, unrelated matter, was served with an arrest warrant at Middletown. It doesn't say actually how bad the damage was. Officials with the fire department, East Hampton Volunteer Fire Department, and the East Hampton Fire Marshal Office, and the East Hampton Volunteer Ambulance Association responded to the structure fire at Jones School, March 19th. And that's it. That's like the article just stops. It doesn't, I don't know. Anyways, what do y'all think? Kind of weird, right? Just like a weirdish hearing. Oh, before the hearing before, the one right before this one, in his opening statement, I forgot to mention it. There was no way he wrote that opening statement. How he was like reading, and he's like getting all the words wrong. And then when he gets stuck in the lie, when they're like, well, you said that you've learned all these things from programs you've taken, but you didn't take any programs. And he's like, oh. And there has been, I need to pull the hearing for you. I haven't played it for you yet, but there's a hearing where the parole board asked the person, did you write this on your own? And they said, well, I got help. And then they said the name. Did you get help by X? I forget the name. And he said, yeah. And they chuckled. And the parole board said, yeah, many of you have been getting letters from him. So there was a point when all the letters were starting to look the same. I think we've already realized that. But the parole board called out the person who's been writing all their letters. And I listened to this hearing and I put it in my notes. And I can't remember which day it was because they all blend together and I can't find it. But when I find it, I'm going to play that hearing for you, and we're all going to get a chuckle on that because that was really funny that the parole board called out whoever it was that was writing everyone's letters. And since that time, I haven't heard them bring it up again. So maybe that guy was called out and he's, I don't know, but I will play it for you when I find it. Maybe I'll ask Sir Richard, we'll find it. I don't know. But anyways, I hope we don't hear from any of these folks again. And with that, I'll let you go.
No, like I sputter, and because of my blindness, I really don't know where people are. So I just kind of like circle around, sputter, and I don't really know what direction I'm sputtering in, but I talk violently. I'm like, I'm when I'm mad, I'm like, I just,
You're threatening to hit somebody. I would think that would make them afraid of you.
Yeah, traditionally, yeah, but my specific situation is vastly different than others. So it's like it could cause fear, but half of the time, like I really don't think anyone takes me seriously, leading me to my anger.